Hello, sixth graders. Today's math lesson, we're going to be working with the median and the mode, and we're even working with the mean. Let's take a look a little bit more here. Here's what the mean is. This is how I realize this. When you're finding the mean of a number or a set of data, you're finding the average. It tends to be the most work. I have three little kids at home, and when I ask them to clean their room, they think I'm being so mean. So I realize that as a teacher too, when I ask you to find the mean of a set of data, that actually requires the most work. Some of you might think I'm mean while I'm asking you to find that average. So that's how I remember. I just think of my kids' messy rooms. This is not my kid's messy room. Mrs. Green would never let that happen. But when I left home today, our basement looked pretty messy. So I hope Mrs. Green doesn't go down there before we get down there to clean it up. Next one, we have the median. The median, when we're driving down the interstate, that's this middle area here between the two highways is the median, okay? This line down the road is also considered the median. So it's the number in the middle. I want you to think, what is in the middle? That would be your median. We've worked with that with some of our other lessons as well. And the range is another one we've worked with. Here's a golf range. It's a Top golf range. This looks like a lot of fun. But how you find out the range, everyone's starting at 0 when they're golfing, and when they hit the ball out, that's how far the ball goes. So if it went out here at about 100 yards, you would take 100 minus 0, which would be the smallest. Your range would be 100. If you start at 0 and you go out to 250 yards, you subtract 250 from 0, you'd find your range. When you're finding the range, you're taking the biggest number minus your smallest number. That is considered your range. We have two characters today. We got Maya and we've got Nico. They both took some tests. We're going to see how they did. Here are Maya's quiz scores. We have a set of numbers here. We have 75, 70, 75, 85, 75, 85, 80, 95, and 80. We're going to put these into a stem leaf. So we're going to take a look here. What is our smallest number in this data? We have a 70. That's our smallest. So we'll put a 7 here, an 8, 9. We don't have any hundreds. So how many 70s do we have? We have 170. We'll put the 0 there. Any 71s? 72, 73s, we have some 75s, we have 1, 2, 3 75s, we have 5, 5, 5. Do we have any? So the next one is 80s. We have an 80 and an 80. Put 2 zeros there. Any 85s? We got 1, 2. Put a 5 and a 5. And we have one number left. We have a 95. That's where Maya's scores are at with quiz. Let's see where Nico's scores are. Scored pretty low on a score here with a 55. So we'll start with a 5, then we'll go 6, 7, 8, 9. Then we got a 10 down here because it looks like we got 100. So let's start marking these on our stem leaf. This 55 turns into a 5 here. Any numbers in the 60s? We have one number in the 60, that's 65. Any numbers in the 70? We have 1, 2, 3 75s. So we have 7, 5, 5, 5. Any numbers in the 80s? We have one number in the 80s. We put a 5 there. 90s, we have 2 95s. We put a 5 and a 5. And then we have 100. That's how you write the 100. Just a 0 there because the 10 with the 0 would be 100. Let's keep moving along here. So we find the mean score. We have to, this is how you do this. It's kind of mean because it's kind of a lot of work. We're going to add all these numbers up. So on the calculator here, I'll take that out, and I'll let you use a calculator today. We're going to take 75 plus 70 plus 75 plus 85 plus 75 plus 85 plus 80 plus 95 plus 80 equals. All these numbers added up equals 720. Now I'm going to count how many numbers I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 9 of them. So I'm going to take this number and divide it by 9. And I get 80 for a mean score, or I should say an average score. So when I add all of Maya's tests up and I divide it by 9, I get an 80. That would actually be her grade. That's how teachers kind of come up with grades. They take how many tests you've gotten, you add them all up, and you divide by how many tests you took. Nico's scores, let's see how he did. See, he scored a 55 here, but he also had 100, so it might be kind of interesting to see how his turned out. So we'll go 55 plus 85 plus 95. And I'm doing this all in real time, so you kind of get an idea of how long it actually takes. 75 plus 75 plus 65 plus 95 plus 75 equals, his is at 720 as well. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 tests divided by 9, just like the other one. And we have an 80 here as well. So even though he got a 55 on a score, this 100 kind of outweighs his scores a little bit. Pretty interesting. Let's keep moving on here. Here's where I find the median score. Now, how are we going to find the median score? And here's a constant thing that kids kind of make an error on. Kids always want to start crossing things off all the way through, and they get kind of, ooh, that got kind of messy. Crossing things off as we go. But we got to put these numbers in order from smallest to largest. Let's take this 70. The next one is the 75s. Takes a little bit of time, but you have to put them in order from smallest to largest. We got two 80s here. And we have the 85s. A little messy there. We have the 95. Let's go down here. His smallest was the 55. Then let's go to the 65. Let's go with 75s. 1, 2, 3 75s. Then let's check with the 85, 95, 95, and 100. Okay. Let's take a look at these scores here now. Let's make sure we have 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's check if we have 9 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Smallest number, biggest number. Smallest number, biggest number. Smallest number, biggest number. Smallest, biggest. Got the 80 here for my score. Smallest, biggest. Smallest, biggest. Smallest, biggest. Smallest, biggest. Got the 75 for Nico's score. Okay. That's how you find the median of that set of data. Now, what's the range? Now, the range we just set to simply find the biggest and the smallest numbers. Maya's biggest number was a 95. Her smallest score was a 70. Her range is a 25 between the two tests. Okay. Nico's score, we had a 55, and we also had the 100. His range is a 45. So the range for Maya's score is 25. This is 45. This 55 really throws off his numbers a little bit. Okay. Let's keep going here. Which landmark, mean or median, is the better indicator of each student's overall performance? Now let's take a look here. Let's kind of think, because I'm gonna kind of listen to some of your opinions in school when you take a look at that. Here is the median score. Maya had an 80, Nico had a 75, and if you remember correctly, they both had an average of 80. Okay. Now which one would I probably pick? Well, if I'm looking here at the sets of data, go all the way back to this beginning part. Nico's score, he had a median of 75. His mode is actually 75 too. So it kind of looks like a lot of his tests are right around that area. So to be honest, I'd probably pick that mean. It's probably right about here where his tests fall, or closer to that 75. Where Maya was at 80 on both. Here's Maya's scores, and I would say that's about where she fell too. So to answer that question, which landmark, the mean or the median, is a better indicator of the student's overall performance? I think it really comes down to taking a look at their scores. The median would make a little more sense for Nico because of that big 55 and or the low 55 and the 100, where Maya scores are all kind of close together, so the mean would make more sense. I'm interested to see what your thoughts are when we work together in class. Let's add these numbers up as a little practice. So we have 4.57, and I'm going to go through these quick so I may make a mistake. 1.25. I'm adding these numbers up. So I have 4 and 574 and 57 hundredths plus 1 and 25 hundredths. So let's go ahead and add these up. 7 plus 5 is 12. We have 1 plus 5 plus 2 is 8. 4 plus 1 is 5. My answer is 5 and 82 hundredths. Take a look at the next one here. Now I get to subtract. I have 39 and 25 hundredths minus 18 and 75 hundredths. Well, if I'm subtracting here, 5 minus 5 is 0. I can't take 2 away from the 7. I'm going to borrow from this 9. I'm going to make the 9 a 19, making this 2. Making the 9 an 8, I apologize. I'm making this 2 a 12. Now I can subtract. 12 minus 7 is 5. 8 minus 8 is 0. 3 minus 1 is 2. 20.55 tenths. Last one here, let's subtract. We have 1999 minus 575. Subtract across. 9 minus 5 is 4. 9 minus 7 is 2. 9 minus 5 is 4. Bring down the 1. That's easy math. Oh, we get one more here. 14 and 49 hundredths plus 15 and 78 hundredths. 9 plus 8 is 17. 1 plus 4 is 5, plus 7 is 12. Got a 10. 1 plus 4 plus 5 is 10. Bring over the 1. 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 3. 30 and 27 hundredths. Now I do that practice at the end, not to bore you or anything, as maybe I made an error in there. Sometimes I go through that too fast, and you know what, when you're going through things fast, you should never make a mistake on adding and subtracting. As I say that, I'm hoping I didn't make an error, but it's good practice for you to watch. See if you can beat me sometimes too. Pause it, write down the problem, and see if you can beat me as I'm solving it. Hopefully this helped refresh your memory on what the mean and the median and the mode are and the range are for math. Good luck on today's math lesson.